24th, but he had met these two little kids who are Ukrainian who'd lost their limbs, and they're here to get a prosthetic from Ukraine. And so the kids just got fitted out, and he was sitting there playing his Xbox. He'd given them his PS3 or PS2 or whatever it is. And he was sitting there playing with these little kids who had just gotten fitted with prosthetics.
That's incredible.
It's a great organization that brings over Ukrainian soldiers and civilians who have lost limbs, so they're fitting them here locally with new limbs. And
Wow.
100 people local from the Ukraine with new legs and arms. And
Wow.
so they're doing good stuff. So it's,
I love that.
yeah,
Thanks, Scott.
yeah, it is.
Love that. What else? Derek.
I've got a couple things. One, I'd like to fill Emily's bucket. She signed her first buyer rep agreement this week.
Then she like correct. I mean, you know what? Not even one license. yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody she met at an open house.
Wait,
and
where did she meet him?
Connected at an open house.
Okay, we've got some of those available this weekend.
Yeah, and so she met the woman at an open house and signed the buyer rep agreement on Tuesday and showed her some houses that night. So that's awesome. And then I'd like to fill my whole team's bucket for everybody buying into an accountability push that I set forth, and everybody's buying into it, which is exciting. So
Nice.
I'm pumped about that, and it includes me too. Like,
Ooh, even
it's,
better.
I mean, really, it's accountability for me. So it's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. What else? What else is going on that's good?
I want to shout out to for the class of SLS. I feel like I'm learning a lot, and there's also an accountability push with that as well. And you get into it or you get out of it what you put into it. And so I've kind of had a mind shift in the last couple of weeks that it's time to go and put everything I can into this so I'm out of it. And then Alex Zerk has been my accountability partner, and he's been awesome. I've been enjoying chatting with him, and Kevin has started the scripting mornings. So that's also happening if anybody is enjoying.
Ooh, what time is that at?
8:30.
Is it via phone or in
person?
Okay, here in person, 8:30. Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is.
Kevin, but that's the plan.
Awesome. That's so awesome. All right, Jacob.
I just want to bucket fill pretty much everyone on our team. I think every single person is really stepping up and being a leader in their own seat, which is phenomenal to see. Alex and Ben are both really upping their leadership potential, having some great meetings with Rachel and like locking that down. Rachel's been doing a ton as a buyer's agent, organizing like events for herself, open houses, all that stuff. Courtney has put together a whole social media calendar for us and gone above and beyond our expectations with regards to everything with that. We're sending out emails like once a week to our whole sphere. And I've had a lot of time to be able to do like higher level strategy things, long-term planning for the team. So everyone's leading from their own seat. And I think that's a really good spot to be in. I'm really thankful to be working with. I am.
Awesome.
I have to bucket fill Jacob too. He spent over an hour with me and my new admin going over kind of tactics that they've used and trainings that he's learned from, and just really helping us understand what that role is and what she can work. So thank you.
Which, by the way, quick note on that, if you are a more experienced agent or someone who is like knows what they're doing and other people ask for your time, meet with them because it's good for you too. Because I figured out things that I need to shore up, and I figured out things that like I can change and make better from that meeting. Like even me preparing for it and getting like documents ready, I'm like, oh, right, we could do this way instead. It's actually very helpful. Obviously,
Tactic of like teaching to get to mastery kind of
that's the
thing.
thing is like teaching is the best way to learn, which I learned a lot from that. So it was super helpful on mine too. And yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just chatting with some of the people that went through Ignite, I want to bucket fill Jacob, Rick Brahma, and Kevin Campbell, because they have gone to them afterwards with questions, and they've just been really helpful after being in Ignite. So
Awesome. 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 What else? Anybody else? Yeah, also to Jacob and your whole team for helping us expand. And then also I needed a listing presentation. I was like, what do you guys do? And they allowed me to basically copy what they do so I could. You borrowed. I borrowed. Yeah, and I needed my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, adapt, whatever. You know.
All recycled.
Awesome. Anyone else? That's good. Anyone on Zoom? Yeah. Hi, Katie, thank you for meeting with me to go through the business plan. That was super helpful, and I feel like I have a path. I feel like there's a way to get there now. Awesome. You're welcome. Anything else?
I want to bucket fill the market center for hosting Ignite on Monday at 8:30 for 7 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It's cool to see this whole room filled with other people, and yeah, it's fun.
It's the energy, right? It's like, I mean, even listening to like the positive things that just happened here gives a very different energy of just like, there's really good things that are happening, right? Even like seasons changing, and I know we're feeling other people that are like, oh, winter's coming and I don't feel great or whatever. It's very different when you hear all of the good things that are happening around, and it's a cool place to be. Really cool place to be. All right, moving on. I don't remember what the next slide is. Oh, okay. So we actually wanted to talk about some ahas. I think there's a few of you, well, I guess there's only one of you that are in here actually from SLS and Bold, because they're at Bold. Can you share any ahas from that? Because I think part of, we've been pushing a lot of education. We've been pushing a lot of courses that we're providing for various reasons, whether or not it's business planning for next year, tactics in a shifting market. And I was you once, and I still am in the leadership role where we have a ton of trainings, and I'm like, I don't want to go to them. I don't think I have time. I don't know what I'm going to get out of them. But truly, there's a reason that we're providing these things for you. So if you have any, I mean, I know we talked a little bit yesterday just about SLS. People are like, what is this? Why would I go? It's a pretty phenomenal training. And again, Bold is as well. But what are you taking from that class?
I think that this training is different from Bold because it teaches you skills and systems for how to move forward with your business, how to get the leads, and how to work them so that they convert into business. So I think it's really systems-based and developing your skill to become a better agent, which is necessary in this changing market.
Yeah, and I mean, there's tactics. Like I just shared with the accountability group that I was just in, right? You get a lead, and they gave a tactic yesterday that was 3 by 3 by 3 by 3, right? So it's 3 emails, 3 calls, 3 texts within 3 days. When they said that out loud, I was like, oh man, that's a lot, right? Like that's a lot. And then when he went in to explain that, right? So you get an internet lead, you get a lead from Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is. It's essentially 3 different touches, 3 different days, right? I would not remember when I get a random text message, which I know we all do, or a random phone call. I do not put that phone number with the same number that texts me with an email that I got. My brain doesn't work like that because I get a million text messages, a million emails a day, and a million phone calls. If they don't leave a voicemail, I don't ever remember that number again. Are you guys with me on that? Right? So the point of that 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 is that you want to get in contact with this lead. They obviously have some sort of interest in something, right? You want to get in contact any way you can, and you're not bothering them because they want information, right? I thought it was a great tactic, and I actually shared it today saying, hey, if you get someone that comes in, I know that Maddie has, she's getting those Rise leads, and you don't have that first communication, keep going for 3 days. And don't think you're pestering them, because honestly, they probably don't even know who you are when you're doing it.
Hey, just checking if you're still alive and you got my messages. So, one of them, they still don't respond. So.
With that, Jeff was saying they don't typically answer until after the 5th time you attempt. So if you do, usually people do maybe an email, a text, and a phone call, and then they're done. But they're not going to answer until 5 to 7 times. And something I took away from that, and it's probably not the biggest aha, but after you finish the 3x3x3x3, you put them into the trash can or put them on your CRM and let them drip. And those are not the leads you need to necessarily focus on. They're extra business if they come back to you. Now you go get more leads. And so just focus on what's in front of you versus, 1,000 people in your database that haven't responded ever. Let them drip and move forward.
We call it bonuses, right? So now it's a new database or a new person in your database. They're gonna get constant information from you from whatever CRM. But now your job again is still to go lead generate. It's not to just fixate on this one lead that just came in. And if you're fixating on that one lead, you aren't lead generating enough. And right now in this market, as we've been going through shift the last few months or the last few weeks, you have to double down on every sort of lead generation that you were actually focusing on, right? So if you were calling, call twice as much. If you were door knocking, door knock twice as much. If I'm recruiting twice as much, right? That's just what we're gonna have to do, because whether you like it or not, business is a numbers game. Every business is a numbers game. So we just have to keep those numbers up and then put them in the place that they need to be in. Yeah, I think it's great. Nobody's here from Bold because again, they're there, they're there currently. All right, so we do have a few things that we just wanted to, I know that there are a few new people, there are people that might not know what's going on with some of the things that are happening in the Market Center. So Fuel Up with Dana is weekly scripting every Tuesday. It's on Zoom from 9 to 9:30. The PC accountability group is, and again, if you are in the PC program, if you want to be in the PC program and want some accountability on that, again, that's any of the newer agents or agents that want to increase their business by a certain percentage. That's from 10 to 11 every Wednesday, and you're meeting with me on that. And then practical applications to inclusive representation. Wow, that's mouthful. And that's by Julia. And that's going to be on Halloween, actually, at Minneapolis State. Is that only in person?
For the CE credit.
Okay. So you'll be able to go via Zoom to watch it, but if you want free CEs,
That's my understanding, is that they will post a link for it to
Okay.
watch it on Zoom, but if
Okay.
you want the credit, you have to be there in person.
have to be in person.
So I noticed when I was clicking through that it looks like it's offered virtually in the future. And
Okay.
because I would do it Monday if it was virtual, but I can't be there, so.
Maybe we'll just look into that to make sure, because I know that with CE, you have to actually, like, Mar has to say it can be, like, you can get credits via Zoom. There's like different, I don't know how it's.
That one's
Sorted,
$35,
but-
right?
What was that?
That was $35.
Oh, that is $35.
Yeah, it's not free.
Okay. Okay. Oh, this is fun. We have our holiday party coming up. So mark your calendar, save the date. It's gonna be Wednesday, December 7th. And that's from 6 to 8, correct?
Yes.
I believe it's 6 to 8. There's gonna be a formal invitation. It's gonna be at purchase. So you guys can, get your outfits ready. It's gonna be wonderful and it's gonna be fun. Any questions regarding that? And yes, you can all bring a +1. Usually that's the question, like, can I bring my partner or spouse or whatnot? All right, so I don't know if you guys remember this last year at all or years previously, but Matt Brady has put together, in November, he always puts together a plank challenge, and it started out very small. I think there was like 10 of us, probably 8 years ago, that did it. And so you keep leading up to, essentially on November 30th, you're gonna do a 4-minute plank. So the purpose of this is obviously it's fun, it's challenging, but it's really also about charity. So this year, his goal between the market centers is to get 350 agents to participate. And part of it is he's trying to also get international to do this every November with us. So you get to pick your charity. So if you are the winner of the event, it'll go to that charity. The money will be donated to it. So it's a really cool cause in November. And it's fun. It's just a sort of community as well. We'll go on a Facebook page and people will post their video of their, 2-minute plank, and they're like, this is horrible, but I'm going to make it. We all kind of struggle through it together. Do you guys have any questions, or has anyone ever done this in previous years?
I just want to point out that one of the bullet points is you can sponsor someone else to plank for you.
So I'm probably gonna sponsor Derek.
I was gonna say.
So- Oh, here, so we can both do it. We're gonna sponsor Shane's whole girls hockey team.
Don't have any.
That would actually be amazing. Any other question? And I actually think you don't have to be an agent. So if you have like kids at home or friends that want to do it, I think you can, it's just anyone can participate. So if you have a workout buddy, it would be fun as well. I'm in for sure. Of course. Okay, so don't forget to take us on Facebook. So open houses coming soon and new listings. So we'd love to get you guys out that way as well, but it also gets kind of our office showing kind of what our new listings are, showing what open house opportunities. With that, I would also like to encourage us to start using our internal Facebook page. I obviously previously came from the Minneapolis Lakes office, and when we first started a Facebook page there, nobody used it either. And then it took time for people just to keep putting stuff in, responding, and it's really great for things like, hey, I've got open houses. I know Strobel has open houses. I think Jordan had some open houses he needed help with. It's a great place to find that, to find, questions, to find referrals and resources. So I have noticed over the last 6 months, there's like 4 people that like things on there or comment. And I would love that to increase because I'd like it to be a form of communication for us as a market center and as a community to be able to post things and actually get responsive. Has anyone found anything great from the Facebook page as of right now? Chris does. And Chris, you are always commenting on it.
Don't say always, but
We're
I'm
off.
active.
Okay?
I like the birthday post. Is that on Facebook or is that?
That's nothing.
that is-
No, that's something. The birthday posts are great. I do like that as well. Okay. All right, so last week, I think we went over 4, 5, and 6 in Shift, right? Who is currently reading Shift? Who has read it? Okay, so today we're gonna do 7, 8, and 9, and I think these are all extremely appropriate right now for timing. So 7, does anyone know what 7 is?
I think you're gonna tell
Yeah. It's pricing ahead of the market. So I want to put it out there as a question right now. Who's having an issue with pricing, or as we're, I mean, I know a lot of people are, right? There's price reductions that are increasing daily, where we didn't see any price improvements for a long time. And now you're seeing them each and every day. So what are we seeing with pricing before we kind of go into strategies on that?
5 to 7% lower than spring.
Okay, you're seeing 5 to 7% lower. Okay. Anyone else?
You have to be careful with closed data versus when that property sold. Because a lot of times the data is skewed because that property sold in April or May, but closed in June. So those numbers get skewed.
How are you dealing? That's a great point. How are you dealing with that? I mean, when someone says, hey, but my neighbor's house sold in June, and you're like,
I just
Yeah.
show them and explain it. I say, hey, yep, here's what the market was doing then. This property actually went under contract in April. And that was essentially the peak of market.
Okay.
We look at, it's come to 5 at the end of May. Properties, so markets start declining in May, June, in my opinion. The stats don't reflect that because closings, that recorded in June and August happened in.
it's the gap. It's
Yeah.
the gap of when it went under contract. Okay. Are you using a visual for that?
I use my hand and I hold it like this. And I say, if we're priced here and the market's going like this, we're gonna miss it. And if we're priced here, we're gonna hit it. You gotta price it ahead. People like visual.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, right? So in that visual though, if you were to, how do you explain that? Like, how do you explain that? So here's the closing. This was in June, right? So it closed for 300,000, let's just say, right? And it over here is when it went in like under contract, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it was priced at 280, right? Went into multiples, went up 20%. right? So now it's recorded here. What was this same house actually listed for in June? This is the sold. What would this house be listed for in June?
That's so close. It's sort of tough to coach somebody on that, but
So what would it sell for? So if we're over here and now this was June and what, July, August is when it was closed? What would it close for here? So if you're saying 5 to 7%,
I'd say 290, 280, 290.
okay,
I think depending on the area, it could have closed at 300 still.
100%.
Okay.
And that's just a generalization, right?
so how are you priced? Are you pricing differently even if it would close at the same?
I am.
Okay.
I listed one in Plymouth, 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, we just went pending yesterday. If I was to list that in April or May, I would have priced it at 525 or 550.
Okay,
And we priced it at 499, sold it very close.
so
So
499 or, okay. Okay,
they're, just explain what's happening in the market, and people they know, I mean, it's
Yeah.
straight. Here's the affordability of this house. Here's how much it costs for that same house today at this price. Sure, can we maybe get a buyer who's willing to still pay the price that they were willing to pay in April? Maybe, based off of supply demand, and that's the other part of that conversation. But realistically, I think the best chance to get the most buyers with eyes on your house that can afford it, that aren't gonna, back out, get cold feet, you gotta be priced here.
well, and even if there are buyers that are gonna buy it at that price and there's the demand, it's gonna go to that price anyway, right? Because they're,
Possibly. I will say nowadays, we have to be a little bit careful about underpricing.
Okay.
Because if you do have, there's less buyers on the market, it's not, oh, well, we can price this at whatever we want and it's gonna self-correct up. That's not the case anymore. We might have one buyer. We have to be really, really close and really cognizant of where that market value is, because we aren't necessarily gonna get 3-4 offers. It's gonna drive it to market value. You can underprice a property right now.
okay, so you said two things on that. There's less buyers. One, do we know that for a fact?
Absolutely. It's not fact, but you can feel it. I mean,
Okay, so
your
there's a
showings,
feeling,
your
right?
showings versus what they were back in April, they're less than half.
But that means active buyers. Do we still know that there's probably buyers that are willing to buy right now if they thought that it was the right time to buy,
Sure.
right? What? How did they know before it was the right time to buy? They were actively
You saw it
looking.
as agents by having, 10 to 20 showings or 50 or whatever.
Yep,
And when you putting a home on the market now and I'm underwhelmed by a couple showings and the sellers are like shocked by a couple showings, because
Yeah.
they're still living in that world of where they heard, that the door's just gonna be wide open. There's flooding.
Okay.
And talking about that, but when it shows up as crickets on the phone for the weekend when they're planning on showing.
When you list one and you're like, back in April, you're like, bang, 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 showing.
Coming soon.
it's like jackpot. He's like, oh, yeah.
Now you list it, 4 hours goes by, you're like,
Did not bet on that one. All right, who else is feeling that though? Okay,
The question, if pricing is so critical, because I had a listing where we were getting a ton of traffic, but it was right when the shift started. And even though there was a ton of traffic and a ton of showing, open houses were full. We had to reduce the price by 75,000, and then I ended up.
what's the price range first?
So
So that we,
it
like,
was listed at 975.
Okay,
So once I went down to 900, it sold. So significant price reduction, right? But it was right at the shift there. But especially being a newer agent, what can we be doing to get more confident at pricing to begin with? Because I feel like it's such a critical component to your listing presentation, to getting someone to sign with you, getting the house sold at the end, getting to the closing table. It's just such a critical thing,
I
you
can-
know?
I can
So,
help with that. Sometimes I'll say, I don't know where your home is gonna sell. Just have to set the expectation and say, I'm not sure. The market is doing this, and then 1 week it goes like this. If you have a unicorn property, you could end up with multiple offers. We don't know. I'll know after the first 2 weeks if we're high or not. You know, and we'll obviously present data and say, okay, well, the market's declined here, but you're also looking at supply demand. Are you the best house on the market at that price bracket? Maybe. That's how I'm looking at it right now too, is, with low inventory, you have to look at not just past data, but you're looking at current data. Like, okay, if I'm shopping for a house at 900 to $1 million, what's the best house on the market? And can I beat that? Is my value better than that value? But you setting that expectation is you're not entirely sure. In a fluctuating market, my job is to interpret the data and inform you. So if you set the expectation, like, let's try this for 2 weeks, you push them as low as you can without getting fired.
right.
Is sort of the game right now. And then set the expectation, okay, we can list it here, almost make them come up with a price. And that way, if they come up with 975, okay, let's try this for 2-3 weeks. We'll interpret the data. If we need to, then we can drop it. And that way it's not on you. It's on what's happening in the market. It's not really on you. You don't know. Like, none of us can really predict right now exactly where something's.
Do you, have you shortened up the time period that you're willing to look at sold? Like for the properties I've been comping out lately, I've been looking at 60 days of solds versus before I was literally 6 months.
Depends how you interpret the data. I'm actually going back further. I look back in the last fall and I say, okay, we're very similar to where we were then.
Okay.
And I say, okay, so the market had this happen in the spring. I go back, I say, okay, more of a real market back last fall. I said, X back there. So just
I think that depends on where you're looking, like which
Sure.
market.
How many, like what the actual absorption rate is. Do you, with pricing it too, if you're looking at the actives might all be overpriced, but at least it's the way to find out where you stack up against like the actual competition, because those are the homes that you're competing against.
like New Age Shopper now, they're on Amazon, they're on 15 different websites. If I'm looking for a golf club, I'll say, well, where's the best value for the exact same thing? Obviously, homes are different, but you're not basing it off of what something sold for last year. You're basing it off of what's available now. What's my best value?
Well, I think to that point, there was a quote in this chapter, and it says, I help sellers see that they have to be smarter than other sellers. They have to be wicked competitors on pricing to essentially put the other listings in their area out of business. Right? So if it's the exact same club, which club are you going to buy? Are you going to go buy the $200 one or the one that's $175? Like, that's just how we are as humans, right? So it's like, if there's three and it's, size, location, condition of the property, and they're the same, where do you want to be in comparison to that particular seller? Any other questions? What else are we finding with pricing right now? What are we finding on the buy side if it's overpriced?
I feel like the buyers I'm working with have become really comfortable or getting really comfortable. For example, a home that's priced at 575, they're like, oh no, this is like a 500, where they're like,
You're like
feel
now
a lot of
local
like,
expert.
yeah, like they have a lot of confidence when it comes to like getting, or
Well, they have time now, so they're confident.
Yeah, I mean, it's a somewhat accurate like, feeling, but it's fine. Like, I just find it funny that they're like, well, now's my chance.
And in like March, they would have jumped on that 575 all day.
Well,
Right.
and they're waiting because they think it's going down further. So unless they have to move, they fall in love with the house. They're like, not perfect, or, market's gonna go down, there's more coming on. Don't have to.
It's funny because the buyers that say that to me and then like the next day it was sold subject to inspection and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's not applicable. or-
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Dude,
Well, I
mean,
think
like
that's
the
the
good
other
houses
piece
are
is you
sold
don't
down.
know. I always remember the term of like, there were buyers sitting in the weeds for a while, right? And they're great listing agents that are like, yeah, we got some interest. We got 3 people interested right now. And then all of a sudden you say that to a buyer's agent tells the buyers and like, well, does that mean it's gonna go into multiples again?
Gotta be careful about telling that to buyers, because you'll back them off.
Yeah.
I've gotten offers before and I don't tell the other agent. I do want them to fight, if I have one on the table.
But I mean, to that point, right? Like, so now you don't ever know. Like before it came on and you knew there was gonna be offers. Now you're like, oh, I'm gonna wait it out. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And that's a real conversation to have with buyers as well.
Yeah, I mean, but several months ago, we would ask the agent if they had offers. Now it's like, gonna see what's
Any
going on.
showings? Anybody coming around? How's it look these days?
Yeah.
Totally opposite. Nope, nothing. All right. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but with your new construction buyers, so someone signed a purchase agreement in February and they're closing now.
Water.
Yes, how are you handling that conversation?
Time heals all in real estate.
Well, and there's not much you can, I mean, you're under contract, you know, I mean, you could back out with your earnest money, right? But I'm like,
You didn't buy this house to live in it and make money on it.
But if they ask you to.
I really like how like blunt Shane is, because I truly believe that actually is what he says, right? And I think we're all so scared to say to buyers and sellers what they need to hear, right? Like there's this like timidness, and I think even with Jeff, it's like, oh, I'm afraid they're gonna back out. If I have to pre-qual them, they're not gonna be a buyer anymore. They weren't a buyer then to begin with, or they weren't a seller then to begin with, right? Like we're here to be very blunt with people about the reality of the market. We don't get to tell them what the market is. The market is the market. Buyers are going to pay for a house what they believe it's worth, not what, you know, Ashley thinks it's worth or anything else. I think we try to like coddle it too much. And I think that's where sometimes we can get in trouble, right? Like, hey, we're under contract. I know that the market shifted and it's a reality.
If they ask you to try and renegotiate it, the contract.
Yeah, we can definitely try that. And I guarantee they're going to be like, nope,
Well, maybe,
maybe.
in some cases, the builder might be smart.
Yeah, maybe.
It depends on what kind of builder though. If it's like a big box builder, they have so many things. I mean,
Yeah, they wouldn't even bridge it.
I just saw that there are. And it's a 2.1%
they don't even
commission too.
make a bridge.
I had a client call me and said, they didn't paint my trim on my garage. And I went back to the contract, I was like, don't paint the trim on the garage. Like, cutting
They don't
off.
even tape it. They don't do nothing. They don't do anything. Like,
Oh,
So did, at least I received emails from a couple of the nationals, promoting, interest rate buy downs significant, like down to 4 1/8, interest rate buy downs on, they were 10-1 ARMs for financing new construction, but I mean, that's a pretty decent incentive for somebody to get into a house. At least it's the way to offset paying too much for the house, but.
Builders offer.
Yeah.
Aren't they also offering incentives though if people walk in without an agent?
Sure.
I feel like
I-
that's going on more now.
that would,
Because
I've
I've
gotten
had
in
people
a
that
fight.
have had leads as potential buyers that I haven't had under contract
and
yet.
new construction?
Well, they were looking at both and I was sending them email updates and searches and things like that. And then I find out they just went on their own one Sunday afternoon or what and signed with
I
the
don't
builder.
think
because-
they're advertising that. I think there's agents in the offices. Like I've gotten in a couple really intense conversation
Uh-huh.
with agents-
Interactions.
with agents from Lennar. And Lennar is going in a reverse direction. They do not value us at all.
Right.
And I'm you know, I said, you guys are doing this the wrong way.
Yeah.
In a tough market, you're gonna need us.
Right.
And they're going the other way. So,
That's the Gary Keller quote he said at Mega Camp was, I'm not a home building company, I'm a financing company that builds homes.
yeah, they're jerks.
So we have two other tactics to get to, but 9 was about urgency. And I think it was interesting when it was like, oh, it's going to get better, or it's going to, what do we say to people when they're like, oh, the market's going down or it's going up? Do you guys remember the graph? If you've read Shift on what that looks like when you ask someone and they're like, oh, well, the market's going down. And you're like, okay, cool. Tell me when it's hit bottom.
Right.
Right? And they're not going to, right? And then you do this and like, oh, now. They didn't say when it was actually at bottom. The realization is after bottom, right? Nobody knows this part. And if anyone buys at bottom, it's luck, right? They didn't know that was bottom. You say the same thing, oh, it's going to peak. You know, the seller's like, oh, I'm going to sell it. This is going to be the top of the market. Tell me when. They're like, oh, it is now. Nope. That was actually, you know, March. Now we're June, right? Like, or whatever it is. So if you do that with them when they say things like that, that's the realization. That's with anything. And if someone says, no, I know, or an agent tells you they know this, that's speculation.
Well,
Right? I mean, yes, you can be around here. Maybe it's going to be here, but they're not going to be able to pinpoint bottom or peak right when it's happening.
at the end of the day, it just comes down to affordability and their motivation. You know, like if they're motivated and it's saying, you know, buy when your life is ready for it. I think I've said that before. And then you're coaching them on, yeah, if you're going to be in this house for, I was coaching people on this in April, May. They're like, are we buying at a good time? I'm like, not really. But how long do you want to be in this house? You know, is this a 2-year house? Yeah, be a little more careful. Is this a 10-year house? You know, if you look at the worst crash in real estate history since the 1930s, you bought a house in 2006, you could still sell it 10 years later and make money on it. It's 2016. So it's all about a place to live. And then you can bring up, well, what's your other option? Are you going to sign another lease? Are you going to throw $25,000 away in rent? You know, what option do you have? What's the motivation?
See what he said. Am I buying and say no? Is this the right time? No, not really. I don't, or you don't even know, right?
Yeah.
How many buyers did you have roughly? I know you don't know your numbers exactly, but roughly in spring when you said that, like how many buyers did you have that you closed on?
I don't know. I think I closed on 30.
Okay, so he told that to buyers. I want you guys to hear that piece. He was saying those things to buyers and still had 30 buyers close around that time. So do you think they were actually scared of what he said, or do you think they valued what he said? They appreciated the honesty.
They know. Like everyone knows. So just hearing it, oh, yeah, okay, that's nice to hear. But also being validated and like, this is still the right decision for me. You're still going to root for me.
Well, that's getting out of the mentality too of like, I'm selling them on something. You're not selling them on anything. Like when you're saying honest, you know, opinions like that and giving actual facts.
Well, you want them to call you back. You know, like if you tell them, oh, it's a great time to buy, and the market go like, what an idiot. You know?
Or you could be completely honest, too, right? If you're like, I don't know if it's the right time. Right now, I'm not sure. Like that, and again, then go into the script, right? Like maybe you don't know. All right, tactic number 8, we actually have our vendor here to talk about it a little bit. So we used to put houses on the market. It didn't matter what they looked like, quite honestly, people were still buying them, right? I mean, how many people were actually staging at that time? It was like, yeah, they decluttered a little bit, but this is a market where that's going to come very well into play now, right? It's going to be, are the colors right? Is it something that makes me feel at home? Is it staged properly? I'll let you go with that.
Okay, all right. Actually, you said what I was about to start with that. You know, staging is such an essential part of the marketing process, you know, no matter how to buy or sell a market. During the recent market, I remember looking through Zillow and I saw a picture of a living or kitchen where an entire birthday party was the balloons and there was cake on the table. So That just cracked me up. But yeah, so obviously, you know, decluttering, packing, painting, decorating make a huge difference when you're staging. And over by the mailboxes, I have some updated stats from the book you're reading. If you have any reluctant sellers to share those stats with them. But from my vantage point as a stager, preparing the house to sell is really the point where your clients' stress levels skyrocket and their emotions come out. And this is a very hard time for them. And I think, you know, aside, you know, they know it's the work that they have to invest, but more than that, it's actually what I found is their house changing. And what they've known for decades and the way it looks is when it really hits them that, oh my God, this is really happening. So I just wanted to mention a couple things to minimize the stress so that you all have a really successful sale for them. One is plan ahead as much as possible. Give them as much time as you can. This past Monday, I had a client just completely break down because she was to that point. Maybe they're okay. I always get that. And then staging, when you bring your stager in and they give you a list, that's great to give to your client, but then their stress level goes really high. So what I do with my staging list, I take it up a notch. And what I'd like to do is I like to add specific timelines. You gotta hit this then. I remind them of the little things that are overlooked sometimes, like ideally, you might want to be out of town or at a hotel during the weekend or listing. Make sure you get a reservation for your pets. All these little really, really helps. I write it up, I make it specific to your client, and I put it on their fridge. And then for staging, I would say personally that staging, 90% of it is decluttering. Adding the pretty stuff is super easy, but it's decluttering that's the most important. And so as far in advance as possible is what I recommend. And then also staging, very, very psychological, both for the seller, as we just mentioned, but also the buyer. I think it's really fascinating how many people just cannot see past what's in that space. They can't see past the crazy, right? They can't see past the clutter. I was looking up the number one turn off when people are touring a home is when there are bars that spill shower. And then so when I stage, I like to try and up the psychological game. And I put subtle hints throughout the house. And it really, really starts as you enter the house. Right there, you put welcome home. They come in and they're already starting. And then for those who are like reluctant to paint, reluctant to work, stuck, remind the buyers of the investment that it's worth it, but also don't focus on those stats. Don't be like, oh, you're gonna get some. Also remember to remind them that we're doing this, you're getting ahead of the game. You're at this point where you clutter, you're at this point where you let go of things, donate that. Kind of shift that from the years. And then last, of course, I highly recommend getting extra help. In the moment, they're stressed, irritable, big fingers. They may not see the value in it at that moment, but in the end, happy to answer questions. Thank you.
All right, before we go into wants and needs, I want to just talk about going back to the pricing. So these are things not in any order that I think are important as you're going in, and it's in the book. Being a student of the market, right? So actually knowing the market and being a local economist of wherever that particular listing is, and then where they may be buying, right? Focusing on your main comps and actives, pending, sold. We talked about it a little bit over here. What about pending? Like, where are those pendings at? I know that, you know, as a listing agent, they can't obviously tell you what it is going to sell for, but you can at least get some sort of idea if it's pending. Do you guys call up about pending listings right now? Yes.
Oh.
Like, hey, did you get an offer close to, above, or below? You can say that, right?
Depends
So
on the agent.
right, but when you go into a listing appointment, right, you can say, hey, I called these three and it's pretty close to where list price is or it's below. Giving them an idea when they price where it's gonna come in at.
And telling them if it's current, say that one sold in 5 days. And it's right, just over list price, that tells them pretty much, but that's a solid for what the current market is doing.
This is I have a question. Who still previews properties that come up for sale? Like, on a regular basis, you're looking in an area, you work in a specific area, some new listings come on, who's previewing those? Okay? Anyone else? Okay, so previous markets, we used to do that all the time, right? Like, we'd preview 3 to 5 homes a week or whatever it is. Knowing that now, going into these listing appointments, saying you stepped foot into their competitors' houses is pertinent. Who as a listing agent ever takes those sellers to that house during the preview? Do you still do that?
I did it like last week.
Okay, do you do that at all?
I mean, if you're saying taking their seller to the homes that are listed near their home.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
Why did you do it, Derek?
Because it's direct competition.
Okay,
Same, like, it was in the same condo building, same floor plan, different condition
and it was helpful for pricing, right?
for both of us, yeah.
Yep, like you see it, I see it. I mean, we can look at anything online, but if they actually walk through that property and are like, oh, this feels more open, or this, like they actually see it, it helps get over those objections pretty quickly.
When you do that, you can also take a picture of the business cards that are there to know the agents that have shown that property.
Oh, you're so smart.
I like that. That is a great idea. Say, hey,
The whole thing.
that's a great idea. Keep your presentation as current as possible. Just call desserts, right? Like, or what, whatever.
Great ones in demand.
That's true.
There are, yeah.
Jacob could help with that, sorry, Jacob. Yeah, but there are some great ones in command, right, in designs? Yeah.
Here's
Yeah,
the other
very
big
easy.
one. It talked a lot in this chapter about like the fake sellers, right? Like, we're just gonna try out the market. So if you're gonna take a listing, and I know we've all done it, they're like, yeah, but if I don't sell at this, I'm just not gonna sell. And you know that they're not gonna sell it at that. So you're like, oh, maybe they'll just find a new house and they'll still sell. One, now you've paid for whatever, because I'm guessing most of us do not have a retainer fee. And two, they had no motivation to sell unless they overpriced their house. Who's been in that situation before? Okay, what does that do for the rest of the market?
Their house.
Sells other people's houses,
Yeah.
right? But it also saturates the market with people that actually don't want to sell. Right, so it makes it even harder because now it's like you've got this overpriced house, now this person wants to overprice because they did. Pre-qualify their motivation. Like, do they actually have to sell, and are they going to sell? Right? Is that something that's going to happen? Price out of the market we already talked about, and then the last one I think is huge, is getting pre-signed price reductions. Who does that?
I do it strategically, talking to them. Price it here. It's not sold in 2 weeks. I think we need to be here. And we'll interpret it, but I've never done it like in a contract.
So what happened? Yeah.
She has a 10, 10, 10, 10, 5. And she puts it into her presentation, makes it sign it. That says if we don't have 10 showings without an offer in 10 days, we drop it by 5%. And that's just upfront what it is. I'm sure she has a whole lovely script around it.
Well, because here's the other part. Okay, Shane, you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're gonna price reduce in 2 weeks and we're gonna reassess. 2 weeks comes, well, Shane, we only had, 4 showings. We also have one coming up on Saturday. What, like, I don't think right now is the time to price reduce, because what if this person's gonna come in and,
That's a very fluid situation. I mean, you have to have conversations with Haley on how they're feeling about it. I mean,
yeah,
not just, that's why, you know, investment strategy probably works, but I don't know that I'd want to do that because I might not do it. You know, like we have to be a little bit more patient in today's market too, like buyers in the weeds, like you don't have to panic if it doesn't sell in a week. Doesn't mean your price too high. It's not necessarily, I mean, it just might take a little longer.
So it depends on the house.
Right.
It depends on, you know, Okay.
You know, activity and market is different every week. I feel like it's different. So you have to sort of interpret and have those conversations weekly with your clients on, you know, what's the best situation. Well, you know, you can honestly go off of how people are feeling, what the stock market's doing. I don't look at the news, but you just kind of get a feel for things. And you notice your clients always buy in the same week. It's usually when you're on vacation, but
so
but
moral of the
it's-
story, take more vacation.
well, that's not necessarily it, but
Good work.
like the whole, like, I had all the time, like you go a week where your buyers don't see anything or they see some homes and they don't buy. And you're working with 3 or 4 different buyers at a time, they all buy on the same week. And it's all of this, I get really weird. Like the energy that's going on in the universe and what's around you, like that's real.
I'm gonna get
And-
really weird.
And like when there's a positive feeling in the, you know, that's happening, you know, people go. So it's just monitoring that.
I think it might be your energy. Because I know that before I leave town, I always will make sure to connect with all of the people who I need to connect with. So then those people end up wanting to see houses right before I go. We end up putting together contracts while we're gone, end up having homes that come on the market while I'm gone because of that as well. 100%.
Yeah, and let's see what, like, maybe it's like a big hockey tournament weekend and you're all excited and then they want to buy because you're jazzed up. You should do a study on you, Shane.
I just canceled the vacation this morning.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions around shift?
I was just gonna say, I can speak to that too. The desserts love to throw me 4 purchase agreements on Monday, like once a month. They don't like to give them to me 1 in a week. No, of course not. It'd be way too easy. They like throw 4 at a time. Just be like, yep, here you go, tons to do. Also, we have 2 more we're negotiating right now. That was
That is
I
their
can't speak to
favorite.
them, but same thing.
Awesome. Any other questions? Yeah.
Question, but I just want to kind of goes around this, but I did put on the Facebook page, the Mars stats for September came out and there was a webinar about it last week. But they do say average days on market now, before was 28, now it's 32. And then it also talks in there about seasonality, which comes up to Shane was talking about, no, I looked at last fall instead of the summer because in Minnesota, we always have a seasonality shift as well, so. But the stats are on there too. Take a look at that.
All right, lots of needs. Buyers, sellers, what do we got?
Chat so far.
Yeah, there's we've got a listing down in Chandler, and Dr. Stewart, it's gonna be, it's 3,000 square feet. Main level living with a basement that's about 1,100 square feet to be finished in the basement. They've got bids on the basement to finish it out for about $30,000 to $40,000, kind of at a minimal level. They add another 1,100 to your 1,100 square foot to your home. That'll be coming out in the next couple weeks. And then we've got a rental in Wayzata Schools and Minnetonka Wayzata Schools that'll be coming on right around 4,000 for 4,000 square feet, 5-bedroom in Wayzata Schools. And I'm looking for contractors who do concrete work and spray foam. So if you got anyone,
Let's talk to Tony about the concrete guy.
Awesome, who else?
I have a furnished rental in Minneapolis, a 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom and a duplex. It's temporary, so we can do as little as 1 month, as long as 6 months. With an opportunity to extend, it's $3,000 a month, and that includes totally furnished and all utilities.
I've got a listing that's gonna be coming on in a couple weeks. It's 10 acres in Minnetrista. Dry acres right off County Road 110. There is a house on the property that would be a good upper. And it also has a 90 by 40-foot steel building on the property with 16-foot sidewalls. 600 is list price.
What's the address? Or will you send me the address? Sorry, I've been looking for a long time for 16-foot sidewalls.
Oh, yeah, your person.
They've got like a 90-foot boat in there right now. For ship.
90-foot boat.
What condition did you say the
Concrete
house
floor.
was in?
You know, I exaggerate
Fixer up.
sometimes.
Fixer upper?
And then I also am in need of a fire in Orono, really the part of Orono, 1-6 and under, and then a fire in Dinah and Nantucket School. You guys schools.
Hey, this is Nina. I'm on Zoom. Hey, I have a listing in St. Louis Park that would be a great opportunity for an investor or a flipper. So it's your typical St. Louis Park 3-bed, it's 2-bath, but the second bath, I hate to call it a bath, 1.5 story. Needs quite a bit of work. So if you are interested in investing or have an investor, let me know.
Terry has her hand raised.
I do. Hi, I have a house coming up, actually going live this Friday in Crystal, and it's 3-bed, 2-bath, about 1,700 square feet, got all new flooring, new carpeting in the lower level, all hardwood floors, really a great little place. So, and it's going 282.
I have a condo that's gonna be listing in the next few days. It's in a high-rise downtown Minneapolis. So it's off 22nd, or it's off Portland and 9th Street. What else do you guys wanna know about? 2-bedroom, 2-bath, very nice, nice condo, good amenities.
Thank you.
We've got another rental that's coming on. It's just redone it, and it's on right behind Southdale on York. It's gonna be about somewhere between right around 1,600 a month, and that includes your heat and even a couple other, I think, electric and heat and cable is included in that. And then we have a house in Minneapolis on Clinton, just down by the Minneapolis Art. That's gonna be coming on for sale. And that'll be, it's 3 bedrooms up, or 4 bedrooms up. That's gonna be in the.
Anybody else?
We have a rental in St. Louis Park, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage, available basically immediately for $25.50. Right behind the Porsche dealership.
Oh, I know that.
Right? Oh, it's actually just adjacent to the Ferrari dealership, so.
Derek takes a
So
shit.
there's that.
See anybody over there fogging up the window on the weekend? That's me.
All right, anything else, send to Lydia and we'll get an email out later today. Otherwise, have an awesome week.